There are some things in life that we thought were lost forever, but their dark heads pop up again to ruin our lives. I'm Tate Arena.
I'm Olivia Kozlowski.
And we're bringing you them today on our most amazing top 10 list.
Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have this abandoned mine video. This tape comes from 1998 when some teenagers went snooping through an abandoned mine.
Got some pipe. Oh, wow. We have to climb that.
Yeah, don't everybody get up.
I got
You're gonna be the lucky one to fall.
This is going to America's Funniest when somebody falls. That's good.
They're searching around and eventually come to an area where they need to use a rope to drop down to the level below. The boys believe that their plan is foolproof and that they'll all climb down the rope, and then when it's time to leave, they'll all just climb back up the rope. The first friend, named Adam, goes to climb down the rope when they all suddenly come to realize that perhaps this was a terrible idea. They obviously didn't secure the rope enough, and Adam ended up falling 65 feet down.
Oh. Adam! Oh, Adam.
He was knocked unconscious and obviously injured, but luckily his friends were able to call for help. Adam had to wait several hours in the dark before being rescued, but it certainly could have been much worse.
Coming in at number 9, we have the tombs. Here's the thing, if someone invites you to go into a tomb, just say no. Say, this is not for me. I'm not a tomb kind of guy. I would prefer to hang out on the surface and look at birds, because this next video is exactly what can happen when you agree to go walking in some tombs.
But he soon begins to panic. He runs through the maze of tunnels and his breathing gets heavy. As he is running, you can hear and tell the man is freaking out. He then drops the camera in the water and is seen running away out of frame.
So that is some footage that was found in the Paris catacombs. If you don't know what that is, it's a series of long maze-like tunnels that are underneath Paris. They are filled with the remains of thousands of people, and there are areas in these tunnels that have never been explored. There have been reports of some people living down there, and even massive secret raves that take place down there. Some suspect that there could be some sort of creature that lives in there and feasts upon the people who get lost. In the video, it seems that the person recording got lost and starts to panic. It also seems like they're running from something. There is no idea who filmed this and whether or not it's staged. To this day, this video freaks me out every time I see it.
In our number 8 spot today, we have this arsonist video. This video is definitely dark and just very disturbing. It's a video of an arsonist who has just lit a huge fire. He stands a decent distance away, filming the fire and commenting on his work, and man, did it ever give me the chills. It's obviously someone who is very proud of the destruction that they are causing. You can hear the fire truck sirens in the background as they're on the way to the scene, which honestly just adds another layer of creepiness in my opinion. The fact that he is willing to stick around and film this definitely increases his chances of getting caught, but I also feel like it shows just how badly he wants recognition for his insane crimes. Watching this video honestly made me feel like I was on Criminal Minds and that I needed to profile who this insane man is.
Coming in at number 7, we have Creeper in the Bank. With so much of the world working from home and needing to do Zoom calls all the time, this next clip is going to have you looking over your shoulder every time you're in a Zoom meeting. That's not what you want creeping around in your house when you're not looking. And the sad part is that this guy looks like he was actually enjoying himself very much on that computer call. Little did he know he was about to get devoured by some alien intruder that wants to wear his skull as a hat. Now, I don't know what the aftermath of this video was, so if anyone knows if this guy is still alive and kicking or if he got turned into a lampshade, please let me know in the comments below.
In our number 6 spot today, we have a plane crash video. This video comes from August of 1984, and it starts off fairly normal and is just showing the view as a pilot named James Jeb Cadell flies a plane through the air over some rolling hills that look pretty green and filled with trees. There isn't really any audio other than the loud sound of the plane's engine, but at a few points the pilot begins speaking to someone else. The person he is speaking to is the only passenger on the plane, and his name is Ronald Hugh Wilmond.
Oh, look at that down there, Ronnie, on the left. Nice little lake and a cabin.
They continue flying around, not a ton of talking, but just a few little tidbits here and there. As it turns out, the density altitude conditions of the day weren't really taken into account and caused things to take a turn for the worst. James tries his best to get away from the rising terrain and stalls the airplane 3 times in his attempts before it ultimately crashes. This tape was found hanging in the trees by backpackers who stumbled upon the crash site 3 years after it had occurred. It is super scary to watch, and it really shows how things can change in an instant.
Coming in at number 5, we have missing Australian teens. This was a huge story in Australia just a few years ago. There were 4 teenagers who went out together one night and they never came back. There was a massive search to try and find them, but there was no luck. Eventually, everyone lost hope and there was little clues as to what could have happened to these kids. The only piece of evidence that ever popped up was a tape that was found months after the boys went missing. It was taken by the 4 boys and it was an 8-minute video of them driving around until they pulled off on a dirt road to go explore an abandoned hospital. Here's some of that footage.
Oh, we're lost, huh? How dark is this place?
It's suspected that these teens could have gotten lost in the woods and maybe died from exposure, but they did cross into some land that said private property, no trespassing, so it's possible that they were confronted by someone who might have killed them. To this day, it is still a mystery.
In our number 4 spot today, we have a creepy stalker video. This whole video is about a minute long and is one of the scariest videos I've ever seen in my life. While the video itself doesn't show anything super crazy, it's the story behind it that is cruel and gruesome. This video was taken by a stalker before he ended up taking the life of his victim. Her name was Lauren Giddings and she was a 27-year-old law student. She unfortunately ended up crossing paths with this absolute psycho who officials believe was on his way to becoming a serial killer. He took this video before entering her apartment and it is him creeping and peering into her windows. Like I mentioned before, the video doesn't show much other than the fact that this guy was obviously very disturbed.
Coming in number 3, we have the Paraguay home video. Well, this video is bizarre on several levels, and it's not just the video itself, it's all the stories that go along with this video. First, let's take a look at what the video is. Now this was filmed in the 90s and then popped up again on the internet, and the whole thing is like this. It's a bunch of strange edits and grainy distorted footage. It jumps around from place to place, and that's not even the weirdest part. The strange part is the audio that you can hear in the back of the video. It sounds demonic, like there's some sort of creature trying to communicate through the video. But that's where the creepy stories start. There's a list of people who have said they've heard hidden messages through this video. Some people say they see a demonic figure pop up only to have it disappear when they rewind, and there are even stories that people are brainwashed by this tape to do evil things. There isn't any hard evidence to prove any of this stuff, so right now it just stands as an internet urban legend.
In our number 2 spot today, we have this grave robber video. This video is taken from a VHS tape and is basically just an almost 30-minute long video of some guy explaining how to rob a grave. This is obviously an incredibly messed up thing to be doing, let alone teaching other people how to do it, but what adds an extra layer of creepiness is the fact that he is absolutely manhandling what seems to be a very real human skull throughout the video. He also shows other bones during his explanations.
They look great, and if you also get the leg bones, it'll look even better like this. With both of them, alright? Like that. They look beautiful.
I really wish I never had to sit through an entire explanation of all of the gritty details on how to rob a grave. It is a little too in-depth for me, and the fact that this guy has dirt all over his face really drives this one home for me, as if he had just finished doing exactly what he's describing. He also explains how to ensure that you don't get caught, since this is of course very illegal.
Let's say you robbed there are 5 graves, alright? Alright, for the first one you might be able you might get caught, alright? But if there's witnesses for the rest of them, you will get caught too. Why? Because they're gonna blame you for it, alright? Because they caught you for this one, that means you most likely did the rest of them, and the judge will say it was you.
All in all, I think I'm gonna stay far, far away from this guy and his creepy collection.
Coming in the #1 spot, we have the Grizzly Man tapes. I want to start off this one by saying we will not play the tape for this one. It's much too gruesome. If you want, you can go look it up yourself, but I will tell you that it can be very scarring. These tapes were the last thing left behind by Timothy Treadwell and his girlfriend. Timothy Treadwell was known as the Grizzly Man. He spent 13 years in and out of living with bears, which for most would sound like the most terrifying thing you could imagine. But for him, he wanted to show the world that you could live with bears and they were not an animal to be feared. Well, even though he was able to spend over a decade in their presence, that would eventually lead to his death. Timothy was making a documentary about bears, so during that time, he was filming. One day while he was with a grizzly and his girlfriend, the bear turned on him and killed him and his girlfriend. You can't see what's happening, but you can hear the audio. All right, guys, that has been our list. All so much for tuning in. I have been your host, Trader Anna.
I'm Olivia Kozlowski.
Bye.